Bullies made her kiss the blackboard. She made them kiss the floor. Riley Brennan pressed her forehead against the cool metal of her locker, eyes closed, breathing slowly through her nose. The hallway of Oakmont Valley High School churned with its usual morning chaos, slamming doors, shrieking laughter, the shuffle of 100 pairs of sneakers against linoleum. She counted to 10, then 20, willing herself invisible. It almost never worked. "Hey, ghost girl," came the voice she'd been dreading. Trent Holloway. Even without looking, she could picture him. Tall, broad-shouldered, with that easy confidence that came from never being told no. Captain of the lacrosse team, son of the superintendent, untouchable. "Did you bring my homework?" Riley opened her eyes but didn't turn around. "I didn't do your homework, Trent." "That's weird, because I could have sworn you were going to help me out." His voice was closer now, right behind her. She could smell his cologne, something expensive and aggressive. "You know, since you're so smart and I'm so busy with practice." "I can't," Riley said quietly. "I have my own work." "Can't or won't?" A hand slammed into the locker beside her head, making her flinch. Trent leaned in, his breath hot on her neck. "See, ghost girl, the thing is, nobody says no to me. Not here, not anywhere." Before she could respond, his friends materialized around them like sharks circling prey. Madison Pierce, beautiful and cruel, with her highlighted hair and designer everything. Cody Brenner, Trent's right hand, thick-necked and mean. Ashley Kim, who'd been Riley's friend in middle school before deciding popularity mattered more. And Derek Vance, quiet but vicious, the one who always took things too far. "Is there a problem?" Madison asked, examining her perfect nails. "I thought we explained this already, Riley. You're new here. You don't have friends. You don't have protection. What you have is an opportunity to make your life a little less miserable by being useful." Riley's fingers curled into fists, nails digging into her palms. She wanted to speak, to push back, but the words died in her throat. It had been 3 months since her family moved to Oakmont, Connecticut. 3 months since her father's deployment to Germany left her alone with her mother, who worked double shifts at the hospital. 3 months of being the weird, too quiet girl who dressed wrong and spoke wrong and existed wrong. "Leave her alone," a voice cut through the tension. Jason Torres, one of the few students who'd shown her any kindness, stood a few feet away with his backpack slung over one shoulder. "Come on, Trent. Class is starting." Trent straightened, his expression shifting to mock innocent. "Just having a conversation, Torres." "You jealous." The group laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Tell you what, ghost girl. I'll give you until tomorrow. Bring me that chemistry report, or things get a lot harder for you." They drifted away like smoke, leaving Riley shaking against her locker. Jason approached carefully, the way you might approach a wounded animal. "You okay?" "I'm fine," Riley lied, gathering her books. Her hands trembled slightly, and she hated herself for it. Hated the fear that lived in her chest like a stone. "Thanks, though." "Riley, you should talk to someone, a teacher, the counselor." "And say what?" She finally looked at him, this boy with kind eyes and an earnest face. "That Trent Holloway asked me for help with homework. That Madison made a mean comment. There's nothing to report. There never is." She softened her tone, not wanting to drive away the one person who'd been decent to her. "I appreciate it, Jason." "Really? But I can handle it." She couldn't handle it. The next few weeks proved that again and again. In the cafeteria, Riley sat alone at a corner table trying to make herself small. The room was a complex ecosystem of cliques and hierarchies. The athletes dominated the center tables, loud and sprawling. The arts kids clustered near the windows. The academic elite had their own section, debating and studying even during lunch. And then there were the islands like Riley, scattered at the edges, hoping not to be noticed. Trent and his crew held court at the biggest table, surrounded by admirers and wannabes. Riley could feel Madison's eyes on her sometimes, calculating and cold. Once, she'd tried eating in the library, but the librarian, Mrs. Henderson, enforced the no-food rule with militant precision. Once, she'd tried skipping lunch entirely, but the light-headedness during afternoon classes made that impossible. It was a Tuesday when they escalated. Riley was carrying her tray, today's mystery meat and limp vegetables, when her foot caught on something. She went down hard, the tray flying, food splattering across the floor and her clothes. Laughter erupted around her, a wave of cruel amusement. When she looked back, she saw Derek Vance pulling his foot back under the table, grinning. "Oops," he said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "Should watch where you're going, ghost girl." Riley scrambled to her feet, cheeks burning, gravy soaking into her shirt. A few students helped pick up the mess, their expressions sympathetic but distant. Nobody wanted to be associated with the target. She fled to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and cried as quietly as possible. Through the thin walls, she could hear girls chatting about the upcoming homecoming dance, about who was dating whom, about everything that comprised normal high school life, a life that felt impossibly distant. That night in the small rental house on Maple Street, Riley sat at the kitchen table with her mother. Linda Brennan looked exhausted, her scrubs wrinkled, dark circles under her eyes. She'd picked up extra shifts to make ends meet, and it showed. They ate microwaved leftovers in comfortable silence, the TV murmuring news in the background. "How was school?" her mother asked eventually. "Fine," Riley said automatically. Linda studied her daughter, really looked at her, and Riley saw the moment recognition flickered in her tired eyes, the stained shirt, the careful way Riley held herself, the shadows that seemed to follow her around lately. "Baby, if something's wrong." "Mom, it's fine, I'm fine." Riley forced a smile. "Just adjusting, you know?" It takes time. She couldn't burden her mother with this. Linda was barely keeping things together as it was. Besides, what could she do? March into school and demand the bullying stop? That would only make things worse. Riley had learned that lesson at her last school, before the move. Before she'd learned to keep her head down and her mouth shut. In her room later, Riley pulled a worn photo from her desk drawer. It showed her at 12, standing in a small gym in Bangkok, Thailand. She was thinner then, hair pulled back, wearing hand wraps and a tired smile. Beside her stood Kun Somchai, her Muay Thai instructor, his weathered face creased with approval. Those had been good years when her father was stationed at the embassy and she'd found refuge in the art of 8 limbs, the discipline, the controlled power, the respect. But that was another life, another Riley. Here in Oakmont she was nobody, just a ghost drifting through hallways trying to survive. The pattern continued. In gym class, they chose her last for teams, always. During a basketball unit, Ashley accidentally elbowed her in the face, leaving Riley with a bloody nose and no apology. In history class, someone scrawled FREAK across her notebook while she was at the board. In the parking lot after school, she found her bike tires slashed, the rubber hanging in sad strips. The locations became a map of humiliation. The cafeteria meant trays accidentally knocked over. The gym meant being targeted during dodgeball. The whole class watching as balls slammed into her again and again, while Coach Morrison pretended not to notice. The hallway near the science labs meant cruel whispers and shoulder checks that sent her books flying. The parking lot meant lingering fear, never knowing what she'd find. The library meant tense silence, nowhere to hide, but at least nowhere to be actively tormented. The sports field during free period meant watching others live normal lives while she sat alone on the bleachers. The rooftop access, technically forbidden but everyone went there, was the only place she felt safe, and even that was temporary. She tried talking to her guidance counselor, Mr. Preston, a well-meaning man in his 50s who meant well but understood nothing. "High school is tough for everyone," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Have you tried joining clubs? Making friends? Sometimes we create our own isolation, Riley." She tried making herself less of a target, changed her clothes, bought what Madison wore. It didn't help. Changed her hair, straightened it, tried makeup. It didn't help. Volunteered to help with group projects, tried to be useful. It didn't help. Nothing helped because the problem wasn't her actions. It was her existence. She was marked, and in the ecosystem of Oakmont Valley High, that meant she was prey. One afternoon in late October, everything crystallized. Riley was in Mrs. Chen's chemistry class, actually enjoying herself for once. Chemistry made sense, elements combined in predictable ways, bonds formed or broke according to rules. There was order, logic, beauty. She was working on a titration experiment when Trent and Cody walked past her station. The liquid in her beaker seemed to leap of its own accord, splashing across her lab report, ruining hours of work. "Oops," Trent said, not even looking at her. "Better start over, ghost girl." Mrs. Chen glanced up from her desk, frowned, but said nothing. The message was clear. This wasn't worth addressing. Riley was not worth defending. She spent the rest of the period silently redoing her work, jaw clenched so tight it ached. But it was later, after the final bell, when things came to a head. Riley was at her locker, loading her backpack, when she sensed them approaching. The hallway was emptying out, most students eager to escape into the freedom of afternoon. Bad timing. "So here's the thing," Madison said, leaning against the adjacent locker. Today, she wore a crop top, despite the October chill, her flat stomach on display, gold necklace catching the fluorescent light. "There's a party this weekend. Trent's house. His parents are gone. It's going to be epic." Riley said nothing, kept packing her bag. "And we were thinking," Madison continued, "that you could help out. You know, serve drinks, clean up, make yourself useful." She examined her nails, diamond ring glinting. "Unless you want us to spread some interesting rumors about you. I'm thinking something about you and Mr. Preston, the guidance counselor. You spend a lot of time in his office, don't you?" Riley's hands stilled. "That's not... You can't..." "Can't I?" Madison's smile was sharp. "Try me. One text to the right people, and by Monday, everyone will know what a desperate little..." "I'll do it," Riley heard herself say. The words tasted like ashes. "I'll help at your party." "Smart girl," Trent said, appearing beside Madison. "See? You're learning. Maybe there's hope for you yet, ghost girl." They left laughing, leaving Riley hollow and shaking. She finished packing her bag mechanically, locked her locker, and walked toward the exit. But instead of leaving, she found herself climbing the stairs to the forbidden rooftop access. The door was supposed to be locked, but someone had jimmied it weeks ago, and the administration hadn't noticed or didn't care. The rooftop of Oakmont Valley High offered a view of the whole town. From here, Riley could see the sprawl of suburban Connecticut, neat houses with neat lawns, the main street with its quaint shops, the water tower painted with the school mascot. Beyond that, the hills rolled toward the horizon, touched with autumn colors. It was beautiful in a way that made her chest ache. She sat on the ledge, legs dangling, and let herself feel everything she'd been suppressing, the fear, the shame, the bone-deep exhaustion of being afraid every single day. She thought about calling her father, but what would she say? He was thousands of miles away, dealing with his own pressures. She thought about transferring schools, but there was no money for private school, and the public school district lines meant she'd still be stuck at Oakmont. "You shouldn't sit so close to the edge," a voice said behind her. Riley jumped, nearly did fall, and twisted to see an old woman standing near the rooftop entrance. She was small, maybe 5 feet tall, with steel gray hair pulled into a tight bun. She wore a maintenance uniform, the navy blue polo and khakis of the school custodial staff, and regarded Riley with dark, sharp eyes. I didn't mean to startle you, the woman continued, approaching slowly. Her accent was thick, Eastern European maybe, and her movements were measured and precise. I am Vera. I clean the upper floors. I see you come up here sometimes. I'm sorry, Riley said quickly, moving to leave. I know it's off limits. I'll go. Sit, Vera commanded, settling onto the ledge beside her with surprising ease. Up close, Riley could see the lines on her face, the calluses on her hands, the way she moved with complete confidence despite her small stature. I did not say you must leave. I said you should not sit so close to the edge. There is a difference. They sat in silence for a moment. Below, students filtered out of the building, heading to cars, buses, bikes. Riley spotted Trent's truck, a massive black Ford that screamed money and entitlement. She watched him climb in, Madison beside him, and drive away. You are troubled, Vera said. It wasn't a question. Riley let out a bitter laugh. Is it that obvious? To one who watches, yes. You move through that building like a mouse in a house of cats, always alert, always afraid. This is no way to live. Yeah, well, not much choice. There is always choice. Vera pulled a thermos from somewhere, unscrewed the cap, poured dark tea into it. She offered it to Riley, who took it hesitantly. The tea was bitter, strong, warming. In my country, when I was a young girl, not much older than you perhaps, there was war. You understand? Real war, not high school drama. War, Riley nodded, sipping the tea. I was small, like now. Weak, people thought, easy target. And there were boys, young men, who thought they could take what they wanted, my food, my clothes, other things. Vera's expression hardened. My babushka, my grandmother, she taught me something important. She said, Vera, you cannot control what others do. You can only control what you do. And what you must do is become strong, not strong like man with muscles, strong like mountain, strong like river, strong in here. She tapped her chest, and here, she tapped her head. I don't know how to be strong like that, Riley admitted quietly, because nobody teaches you. Your schools, they teach you to sit still, be quiet, follow rules, but they do not teach you to stand up, to protect yourself, to be whole person. Vera finished her tea, tucked the thermos away. I teach you, if you want. Riley looked at her, this strange old woman who appeared out of nowhere with her cryptic advice. Teach me what? To be strong, to be balanced, to be unafraid. Vera stood, stretched, her joints popping, but only if you truly want. It is not easy path. It requires discipline, dedication, and pain, much pain sometimes. But at the end, you are not mouse anymore. You are something else, something they cannot touch. I don't understand, Riley said. You will. Come to the old gym tomorrow, the one behind the school on Riverside. They do not use it anymore, but the building is still there. 5 o'clock. If you are serious, you come. If not, we never speak of this again. Vera walked to the door, paused. And Riley, stop carrying their weight. Stop letting them make you small. You are not small. You just do not remember yet. Then she was gone, leaving Riley alone on the rooftop with 100 questions, and for the first time in months, something that might have been hope. The next day crawled by with agonizing slowness. Riley went through the motions. Classes, lunch, more classes, her mind elsewhere. She'd looked up the old gym on her phone, found it easily enough. It was a squat brick building that predated the current school, used for storage now. The address was 47 Riverside Avenue, tucked between a closed-down factory and a strip of woods. All day she debated, was this real? Was Vera even real, or had Riley's stressed mind conjured her? But when she'd asked Jason about the custodial staff, he'd confirmed there was an older Eastern European woman named Vera who worked the upper floors, so that was real at least. The bullying that day was almost routine in its cruelty. Trent cornered her in the hallway before first period, reminding her about the party this weekend. "Don't forget, Ghost Girl. Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Wear something that doesn't make you look like a homeless person." Madison tripped her in the cafeteria again, laughing as Riley's lunch scattered. Ashley spread rumors about her in the locker room, saying she had lice, saying she smelled, saying she was a klepto, the usual arsenal of casual destruction. By the time the final bell rang, Riley was exhausted. She almost went straight home, almost convinced herself that Vera's offer was too weird, too risky, too much. But then she thought about Saturday, about serving drinks at Trent's party while they mocked her, about the endless cycle of humiliation that stretched ahead like a life sentence. She went to the old gym. The building looked abandoned, windows dark, weeds growing through cracks in the parking lot. Riley almost turned back, convinced this was a mistake. But the front door was unlocked, and when she pushed it open, she found lights on inside. The gym was a time capsule. Ancient basketball hoops hung from the ceiling. The floor was scuffed hardwood, marked with faded lines from long-ago games. Along one wall were mats, stacked and worn. Weight equipment gathered dust in a corner. And in the center of it all stood Vera, now wearing simple black pants and a matching top, her feet bare. "You came," Vera said, sounding pleased. "I was not certain you would." "I'm not sure why I'm here," Riley admitted, setting down her backpack. "You are here because you are tired of being victim. You are here because something inside you remembers what it is to be strong. You are here because you are ready to learn." Vera gestured around the space. "This was my idea, this old gym. The school, they let me use it. They think I'm crazy old woman who likes to exercise. They are not wrong, but they are not right either. I teach here students who need to learn." "Learn what? Self-defense?" "No. Self-defense is too small. I teach you to defend yourself. Your whole self. Body, mind, spirit. In my country, we had system, not fancy martial art with belts and tournaments, just practical method for surviving, for becoming strong when world tries to make you weak." Vera moved to the center of the mat, beckoned Riley closer. "But first, we test. Show me how you stand." Riley stepped onto the mat, feeling self-conscious. She stood the way she usually stood, shoulders hunched, weight on one foot, arms crossed protectively. "No," Vera said immediately. "This is how victim stands. This is how prey stands. I ask you to stand, not to hide." She demonstrated, planting her feet shoulder-width apart, back straight, shoulders relaxed but ready, hands at her sides. "This is neutral position. You are centered. You are present. You are neither aggressive nor submissive. You simply are. Try." Riley attempted to copy her, feeling awkward. "Better. Now push me." Vera stood there, small and old, and gestured to her shoulders. "Go ahead. Try to push me over." Riley hesitated, then placed her hands on Vera's shoulders and pushed gently. "Harder!" Vera commanded. Riley pushed harder. Vera didn't budge, not even a sway. It was like pushing a brick wall. Riley stared, confused. Vera was tiny, had to be in her 70s at least, and yet she was immovable. "You see, strength is not about muscle. It is about structure, balance. When you know how to stand, how to root yourself, you become unshakable. This is first lesson. Before anything else, you must learn to stand." Vera spent the next hour drilling Riley on stance, feet placement, weight distribution, hip alignment, core engagement. It was boring, exhausting work that left Riley's legs trembling and sweat dripping down her face. "Why does this matter?" Riley finally asked, gasping for breath. "Because everything builds from here. You cannot punch correctly if you cannot stand correctly. You cannot block correctly. You cannot move correctly. Stance is foundation, and you have no foundation right now. You are like house built on sand. First wind blows, you collapse. Vera tossed her a water bottle. But we fix this. Day by day, we build proper foundation. Then we build everything else. They trained for 3 hours that first day. By the end, Riley could barely walk. Vera had worked her through endless repetitions of basic movements. Stepping, pivoting, shifting weight. Nothing fancy. Nothing that looked like fighting. Just fundamental body mechanics. "This is stupid," Riley had complained at one point. "When am I going to learn to actually defend myself?" Vera had fixed her with a stern look. "You want to learn how to throw punch? I teach you that in 5 minutes, but that punch will be weak because you have no foundation. You want to actually protect yourself? To be actually strong? Then you be patient. You do the boring work. You build correctly." She'd softened slightly. "I know you suffer now. I know you want quick fix, but quick fix does not exist. Only real work exists, and real work takes time." Riley left the gym that evening sore, frustrated, but somehow lighter, like she'd done something, even if that something was just standing in place for 3 hours. She went home, showered, and collapsed into bed. The next day at school, nothing had changed, except something had. Riley noticed she was standing differently, not the old, hunched posture, but the neutral stance Vera had drilled into her. It felt strange, exposed but also right. In the hallway, when Ashley deliberately bumped into her, Riley's new stance kept her from stumbling. Ashley looked surprised, almost confused. It was a tiny victory, but it was something. Riley went back to the gym every day after school. Some days, Vera worked her for hours. Other days, only 30 minutes. "Training is not about quantity," Vera explained. "It is about quality and about consistency. Show up every day. Do the work correctly. The body learns over time." Slowly, painfully slowly, Riley began to change. First week, they worked only on stance and footwork. Riley learned to move without telegraphing, to shift weight smoothly, to maintain balance while in motion. Second week, Vera introduced breathing. "Most people breathe wrong," she said. "Shallow, in chest. This makes you weak, anxious. We breathe deep from here." She indicated her belly. "Diaphragm breathing. It calms mind, oxygenates body, gives you power." They spent entire sessions just breathing. In through the nose for 4 counts, hold for 4, out through the mouth for 4, over and over until it became automatic. Riley noticed the panic attacks that had been plaguing her, heart racing, chest tight, head spinning, started to lessen. The breathing gave her a tool, a way to interrupt the anxiety spiral. Third week, Vera began teaching strikes, but not wild, aggressive hits, controlled, precise movements. "You are small," Vera said, "like me. Small people cannot rely on power. We rely on precision, on knowing exactly where to hit, how to cause maximum effect with minimum effort." She taught Riley palm strikes to the nose, throat, solar plexus, elbow strikes to the temple, jaw, ribs, knee strikes to the thigh, stomach, groin. Each technique was practiced thousands of times, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. Vera was relentless in her corrections. "No, your hip is wrong." Again. "No, you are too tense." Again. "No, you are using arm strength. Use your whole body." Again. It was grueling. Riley went to bed each night with ice packs on her shoulders, knees, shins. Her mother noticed but didn't pry, seemed relieved that Riley had found something that made her less withdrawn, more present. At school, the bullying continued unabated, but Riley found she could endure it differently now. The breathing helped. The knowledge that she was doing something, becoming something, helped. Jason noticed the change. "You seem different," he said one day at lunch. He'd started sitting with her sometimes, despite the social cost. "More, I don't know, confident." "I've been exercising," Riley said, which was true, if incomplete. "Good for you. Seriously, you deserve to feel good about yourself." He hesitated. "Are you still planning to help at Trent's party?" "I don't think I have a choice." "You always have a choice." "I know it doesn't feel like it, but you do." Jason pushed his tray away. For what it's worth, I think you're braver than you realize. Riley didn't feel brave. She felt tired and scared and angry, but she was starting to feel something else too, something harder to name, a sense of herself as solid, as real, as taking up space in the world without apology. The party loomed on Saturday. Riley spent the week in a state of low-grade dread, going through her days at school and her training with Vera like someone walking through fog. By Friday, the whole school was buzzing about Trent's party. It was going to be the event of the season. Kegs, DJ, pool, no parents. Riley had been given her instructions. Arrive at 7, stay in the kitchen, serve drinks, don't talk to anyone unless spoken to. That Friday evening, training with Vera was different. Instead of drilling techniques, Vera had Riley sit on the mat, cross-legged, and meditate. Tomorrow will be difficult, she said. I know what they ask you to do. I know this weighs on you. How do you know? Riley asked. Because I pay attention. I hear students talk. I see how they treat you. And I know that people like that. They test boundaries. They push to see how much you will tolerate. Vera sat across from her, mirroring her posture. So tomorrow you must decide. What will you tolerate? Where is your line? I don't want to go. But if I don't, Madison will... Will what? Spread rumors? Let her. Words are just air, Riley. They have only the power you give them. Vera leaned forward. But I am not you. I cannot tell you what to do. Only you can decide what is acceptable. What I can tell you is this. You are stronger now than you were 1 month ago, not because you can hit harder, but because you know who you are. You have been practicing standing. Tomorrow, you must practice standing for real. Riley thought about that all night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. In her mind, she ran through scenarios. She could go to the party, endure whatever humiliation they had planned, survive to Monday. She could refuse to go, face the social consequences, maybe even change schools if it got bad enough, or she could go and... What? Fight back? She wasn't ready for that. 1 month of training didn't make her a warrior. But maybe it made her something more than a victim. Saturday arrived grey and cold, the kind of November day that promised winter was coming. Riley spent the morning helping her mother with errands, then came home and stared at her closet. What did one wear to their own degradation? She settled on jeans and a plain black sweater. Comfortable, unremarkable, armor in its way. At 7 o'clock, she rode her bike to Trent's house. It was in the nicer part of Oakmont, where houses had circular driveways and 3-car garages. Cars already lined the street, music thumping from the backyard. Riley's stomach churned as she walked up the driveway, past the Holloway family's Mercedes and BMW to the front door. Madison answered, drink already in hand, eyes bright with malice. Right on time? Good. Come on. She led Riley through the house. It was massive, all hardwood and crown molding and expensive furniture, to the kitchen. The counters were loaded with bottles, mixers, plastic cups, ice. Your job is simple. Make drinks, keep them coming, clean up spills. Don't drink anything yourself. Don't talk to anyone. If you do a good job, maybe we'll let you off easy. Riley nodded, not trusting her voice. The party swelled around her. Students from Oakmont filled the house, spilling into the backyard where the pool glowed blue in the twilight. Riley stayed in the kitchen, mixing drinks, washing glasses, being invisible. It wasn't so bad at first. People barely noticed her. She was just part of the furniture, the help beneath attention. But as the night wore on and people got drunker, things shifted. Trent stumbled into the kitchen with Cody, both of them loud and slurring. "Ghost girl!" Trent shouted. "Make me another rum and coke. Heavy on the rum." Riley made the drink, handed it over. Trent took a sip, made a face. "This tastes like shit. Make it again." She made it again. He took a sip, poured it down the sink. Again. 3 more times. Same thing, pour it out. Make it again, pour it out. Other people started gathering, sensing entertainment. By the fifth drink, Riley's hands were shaking with suppressed anger. She made the drink extra strong and handed it to Trent. He didn't even taste it, just dumped it on the floor. "Oops, better clean that up, ghost girl." Riley stared at the puddle spreading across the expensive tile, at Trent's grinning face, at Madison filming on her phone, at the circle of spectators, some laughing, some uncomfortable but silent, at her reflection in the darkened window, small, hunched, defeated. Then she heard Vera's voice in her head. "What will you tolerate? Where is your line?" "No," Riley said quietly. The kitchen went silent. Trent's smile faltered. "What?" "No!" Louder this time. Riley straightened, felt her feet find that stance she'd practiced 1,000 times. Weight centered, shoulders back, present. "I'm not cleaning that up. Clean it up yourself." Trent's expression darkened. "Excuse me. Do you know who you're talking to?" "I know exactly who I'm talking to. I'm talking to someone who has to get girls drunk and bully people weaker than him to feel like a man. I'm talking to someone whose daddy has to buy his spot on the team because he's not good enough to earn it." The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere she didn't know existed. "I'm talking to a coward." The kitchen erupted. Gasps, shouts, someone cheering. Madison's mouth hung open. Cody looked at Trent, waiting for direction, and Trent's face went red, then purple, veins standing out on his neck. "You little bitch," he snarled, moving toward her. "I'm going to—" Riley didn't wait to hear what he was going to do. She turned and walked out of the kitchen, through the house, past staring faces, and out the front door. Her heart hammered, adrenaline singing through her veins, but she was breathing, using the technique Vera taught her. 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out. She got on her bike and rode home, the cold wind burning her cheeks, tears streaming down her face. Not tears of sadness, tears of release, of terror, of something like triumph. She'd stood up, she'd said no, she'd drawn her line, and there would be consequences. Monday morning, Riley arrived at school to find her world shifted. The party video had spread everywhere. Someone had captured the confrontation, her words, Trent's face. In some versions, she was a hero. In others, she was crazy, suicidal, asking for trouble. But everyone was talking about it. Jason met her at her locker, eyes wide. "Riley, what did you do?" "I have no idea," she said honestly. He grinned. "Whatever it was amazing. Trent's been telling everyone you're dead. Like literally. He's ranting about how you're going to pay, how you humiliated him, how he's going to destroy you. That's not good." "No, it's really not." Jason's grin faded. "Riley, be careful. Trent doesn't make empty threats, and now his ego is hurt, which makes him dangerous." Riley nodded, closed her locker. "I know, but I'm done running." The day was a gauntlet. Everywhere Riley went, people stared, some with admiration, mostly other outcasts, kids who'd been bullied themselves, some with pity, like she was a condemned prisoner walking to the gallows, and some, Trent's friends and fans, with undisguised hostility. Trent himself didn't approach her until lunch. Riley was at her usual corner table when he appeared, flanked by Cody and Derek. Madison hung back, arms crossed, watching. Ashley was notably absent. "Outside," Trent said simply. "Now." "No," Riley replied, voice steady despite the fear clawing at her insides. "Or whatever you want to say it here." "Fine." Trent leaned down, hands on the table, close enough that she could smell the cologne and anger. "You embarrassed me. In my house. In front of everyone. Nobody does that. Nobody. Then, maybe you shouldn't act like a—" His hand shot out, grabbed her wrist, hard enough to hurt. "You need to learn some respect. After school. Behind the old gym. Be there, or I swear to God, I will make your life even more of a hell than it already is." He released her, walked away with his entourage. Riley sat frozen, her wrist throbbing where he'd grabbed it. Around the cafeteria, people were staring, whispering. A confrontation after school, a fight, the currency of high school drama. Riley made it through afternoon classes in a fog. When the final bell rang, she considered going straight home. But she thought of Vera's words about standing, about drawing lines. If she ran now, it would never stop. There would always be another Trent, another Madison, another reason to be afraid. She texted her mom, staying late, studying in library. Then she walked to the old gym on Riverside Avenue. Vera was there, as always, sweeping the floor. She looked up when Riley entered, took in her expression and nodded slowly. So, it begins. They want to fight. Behind the building. Soon. Riley set down her backpack. I'm not ready for this. 1 month isn't enough. 1 lifetime is not enough to be ready for fight. Fight is chaos. Fight is unpredictable. But 1 month is enough to give you chance, to give you tools. Vera put aside the broom. Show me what you remember. They spent 30 minutes drilling, stance, movement, breathing, basic strikes and blocks. Nothing fancy. Just the fundamentals, over and over, until Riley's mind cleared and her body moved on instinct. Remember, Vera said as they finished, you are not trying to win. You are trying to survive. Protect yourself first. If you get opportunity to strike, you take it. But if you do not, you escape. There is no shame in survival. What if I can't? What if I freeze? Vera gripped Riley's shoulders, looked her in the eyes. You will not freeze. You know why? Because you have been practicing standing. And when you know how to stand, you know how to be present. You know how to be here now, in your body. Fear makes people leave their body, go into their head. But you have been training to stay present. Trust that training. Riley nodded, tried to absorb the words. Then she heard voices outside, male voices, laughing. They are here, Vera said. Go. I will be watching from window. If things go too far, I stop it. But this is your fight, Riley. Your chance to stand. Riley walked to the back door, pushed it open. The alley behind the old gym was lined with dumpsters and chain-link fence. The November sun was setting early, casting long shadows. And there, waiting, were Trent, Cody, and Derek. No Madison, no crowd, just them. Wasn't sure you'd show, Trent said. He'd taken off his jacket, rolled up his sleeves. He looked bigger in the dim light, meaner. Thought maybe you'd run to your mommy or something. I'm here, Riley said. Her voice didn't shake. Small miracle. What do you want? What do I want? I want you to understand your place. I want you to learn what happens when you disrespect me. Trent cracked his knuckles. I'm going to beat some sense into you. And if you tell anyone, if you run crying to a teacher or a cop, I'll make sure everyone knows you asked for this, that you started it. My dad's the superintendent. Who do you think they'll believe? Riley felt the fear, acknowledged it, breathed through it. 4 inches, 4 hold, 4 out. She let her feet find her stance, let her weight settle. Present, centered, here. Last chance, Trent said. Get on your knees. Apologize, beg. Maybe I'll go easy on you. No, Riley said. Trent moved fast, faster than she expected. His fist came at her face, telegraphed but powerful. Riley's training kicked in. She pivoted, not trying to block but to evade, let the punch slide past her shoulder. Off balance from the miss, Trent stumbled slightly and Riley's palm strike shot out, hitting his solar plexus. Not hard, she didn't have the power for that, but precise. Exactly where Vera taught her. Trent gasped, air knocked out of him. His eyes went wide with shock. Riley darted back, away, maintaining distance. Cody and Derek moved to flank her, but she kept shifting, not letting them surround her. You little... Trent wheezed, catching his breath. He charged again, more aggressive this time. Riley tried to evade, but his hand caught her shoulder, spun her. She felt a punch land on her ribs, pain exploding through her side. She stumbled, managed to stay upright, turned into him. Close quarters. She drove her elbow into his jaw, felt the impact shudder up her arm. Trent reeled back, hand to his mouth. When he pulled it away, there was blood. "You bitch!" Cody grabbed Riley from behind, thick arms locking around her chest. She couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Panic flared, and she almost went into her head, almost disappeared into fear. But then she heard Vera's voice. "Stay present. Stay in your body." Riley forced herself to relax, stopped struggling. Cody's grip loosened, slightly confused. In that moment, Riley drove her heel down onto his instep, hard. He howled, grip loosening more. She dropped her weight, slipped down and out of his hold, and drove her fist into his groin. Cody went down, gasping. 2 down, 1 to go. But Riley was breathing hard now, adrenaline and pain mixing. Her ribs throbbed where Trent had hit her. Derek circled cautiously, having seen what happened to his friends. "Just walk away," Riley said to him. "This doesn't have to involve you." "Can't do that," Derek said. But he didn't move. He was scared, she realized. Scared of her, the quiet girl, the ghost, the nobody. Trent got to his feet, spat blood. "I'm going to kill you." He came at her again, wild now, all technique gone, just rage and humiliation driving him forward. Riley was tired, hurt, but she was present. She saw the punch coming, slipped it, and this time she didn't hold back. Her palm strike hit his nose, felt the crunch. Trent screamed, hands flying to his face. Riley followed with a knee to his stomach, then an elbow to the side of his head as he doubled over. Trent collapsed, curling into a ball, blood pouring from his nose. Cody was still on the ground, whimpering. Derek stood frozen, looking between his friends and Riley. Riley was shaking now, reaction setting in. She'd done it. She'd actually done it. 3 on 1, and she was the one standing, but she felt no triumph, just exhaustion and pain, and a strange kind of sorrow. "It's over," she said to Derek. "Just tell them it's over." She turned and walked back into the gym. Vera was waiting, face expressionless. "You did well." "I hurt them," Riley said, and to her surprise, she was crying. "I really hurt them." "Yes, you defended yourself. That is not the same as hurting someone for pleasure. That is not the same as cruelty. You did what was necessary to survive." Vera handed her ice for her ribs. "But now there will be consequences. They will not take this lying down. You understand?" Riley nodded. "What do I do?" "You continue. You stand. You live your life, and you continue training, because this is not over. This is beginning of something else. Either they learn or they escalate. Either way, you must be ready." Riley went home that night sore and scared, but something had fundamentally shifted. She'd been tested and hadn't broken. She'd stood her ground. Whatever came next, she'd face it. But what came next surprised everyone. The next morning, Riley arrived at school expecting war. Instead, she found Ashley waiting at her locker. Ashley, who'd been part of the problem from the beginning, who'd spread rumors and turned her back on their old friendship. "Can we talk?" Ashley asked quietly. Riley eyed her warily. "About what?" "About what happened. About everything." Ashley looked uncomfortable, guilty. "I owe you an apology, a huge one. I was a coward. I let them treat you like garbage because I was scared of becoming you, of being the target. And I'm sorry." "Why now?" Riley asked. "Because I fought back, partly, but also because I saw the video from Saturday, and I saw you yesterday after. I saw Trent's face." Ashley smiled slightly. "He's telling everyone he got jumped by a gang, that it was like 5 guys in the alley, because he can't admit a girl half his size beat him. It's pathetic, but it's also revealing. He's not as scary as he pretends to be. None of them are." Riley didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to reject the apology, to point out that Ashley had abandoned her when she needed friends most. But another part understood. Fear made people do terrible things, and courage came in different forms at different times. "Okay," Riley said finally. "Apology accepted, but things are different now." "I know, and I want to be different too. If you'll let me." Ashley hesitated. "There's something else." "Madison is furious. Trent told her what really happened and she's planning something. I don't know what, but she's been texting everyone, saying you need to be put in your place. I thought you should know. Thanks for the warning." The day unfolded strangely. Some students avoided Riley, like she was radioactive. Others nodded respectfully as she passed. A few brave souls even came up to her between classes, sharing their own stories of being bullied, of being afraid. Riley realized she'd become a symbol of something, though she wasn't sure what. Resistance, revenge, the possibility of fighting back. At lunch, Jason sat with her, and to Riley's surprise, Ashley joined them. Then a few others, outcasts and fringe kids who'd never had the courage to sit together before. The table wasn't full, but it wasn't empty either. It was something. "I heard Trent's out today," Jason said, munching on his sandwich. "Doctor's appointment, supposedly." "Probably getting his nose checked," Riley said, feeling a stab of guilt. She'd done that. She'd broken his nose. "Don't," Jason said, reading her expression. "Don't feel bad. He had it coming. They all did." But that afternoon, in chemistry class, Madison made her move. Riley was working on a lab assignment when Madison approached with two other girls, both seniors, both large and athletic. Volleyball players, Riley recognized. "We need to talk," Madison said, her voice low enough that Mrs. Chen couldn't hear from across the room. "Outside, now." "No," Riley said, not looking up from her work. "Whatever you have to say it here. You think you're tough now? Because you got lucky with Trent? You think that makes you something special?" Madison leaned in close. "You're nothing. And after school, we're going to remind you of that. Me and my friends here. No boys to interfere, just us girls. See you at 3:30. They walked away, leaving Riley's hands shaking over her beaker. Mrs. Chen called out about safety protocols, oblivious to what had just happened. Riley tried to focus on her work, but couldn't. Another fight. More confrontation. It wasn't over. Maybe it would never be over. But as she thought about it, analyzed it with the same logical mind she applied to chemistry, Riley realized something. Madison was scared. That's why she'd brought backup. That's why she was escalating. Because the order had been disrupted and she was fighting to restore it. Riley could run, could tell a teacher, though that would likely make things worse, could bring her own backup, but who? Or she could face it, same as before, stand her ground, trust her training. After the final bell, Riley headed to her locker. Vera appeared beside her, seemingly from nowhere. "I heard," the old woman said, "more trouble." "How do you always know?" "I listen, I observe, and I see pattern." Vera handed her a small bottle. "Liniment, for the bruises. You will have more after today, I think. You think I should fight them. I think you should do what you must do. But remember, fighting is not about winning. Fighting is about setting boundary, about saying this far and no further. If you fight today, you fight for yourself, not for revenge, not for pride, for yourself." Vera squeezed her shoulder. "I will be nearby. If you need me, I come. But I think you will not need me." Riley nodded, loaded her backpack, and walked toward the parking lot. A crowd had already gathered, word having spread through the school's mysterious grapevine. Madison waited with her two friends, big girls who looked like they could bench press Riley without effort. This was going to hurt. "Glad you showed," Madison said, all fake sweetness. "I was worried you'd chicken out. Again." "Let's get this over with," Riley said, setting down her backpack. She found her stance, centered her weight. 4 breaths in, 4 hold, 4 out, present. Madison attacked first, and she was fast, athlete fast. Her fist caught Riley on the cheek, snapping her head back. Pain exploded, stars dancing in her vision. Riley stumbled but kept her feet, muscle memory from thousands of repetitions keeping her upright. Madison pressed, throwing combinations. Riley blocked some, took others, retreating, buying time to clear her head. One of the volleyball players moved in from the side. Riley saw her peripherally, shifted to face her. The girl threw a haymaker, telegraphed and wild. Riley ducked under it, drove her elbow into the girl's ribs, felt the air whoosh out of her. But then Madison was there again, grabbing Riley's hair, yanking hard. Riley cried out, reached back, found Madison's wrist, twisted it using the joint lock Vera had taught her. Madison screamed, "Let go!" The second volleyball player tackled Riley from behind, driving her to the pavement. They went down together, and Riley felt her palm scrape. Her knee hit concrete. The girl was on top of her, heavy, pinning her. Riley couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Panic surged. She was going to lose, going to get beaten in front of everyone. But then she remembered Vera's lessons on ground fighting. Small people cannot fight from bottom. We must get up, or we must escape. Riley stopped struggling against the weight, used the moment of confusion to hip escape, creating space. She slithered out, rolled away, got to her feet. All three girls converged on her now, furious, coordinated. Riley was tired, hurt, bleeding, but she was still present, still here. She dodged one punch, blocked another, took a kick to her thigh that nearly dropped her. Her vision was tunneling, everything narrowing to this moment, these opponents, this fight. Madison threw a punch at Riley's face. Riley leaned back, let it sail past, and countered with a palm strike to Madison's throat. Not hard enough to seriously damage, but enough to make her choke, gag, fall back. The first volleyball player came again, and Riley swept her leg, sent her crashing to the pavement. The second player hesitated, seeing her friends down, and in that hesitation Riley struck, a quick combination to the body and head that left the girl dazed and backing away. Riley stood there, breathing hard, bleeding from her hands and face, ribs screaming. Around her the crowd was silent. Madison was on her knees, holding her throat, crying. The volleyball players were on the ground, one groaning, one trying to stand. And Riley was standing. "Is this what you wanted?" Riley asked, her voice rough. "You wanted to put me in my place? Well, this is my place, right here, standing. And I'm done apologizing for it." She picked up her backpack, walked through the stunned crowd and left. Behind her she heard murmuring, then shouting, then the chaos of aftermath. But she kept walking, got on her bike and rode to the old gym. Vera was waiting. She cleaned Riley's wounds, applied ointment, wrapped her scraped hands. 3 against 1, Vera said, almost proudly. "You survived." "I did more than survive," Riley said. "I won." "Yes. But now you must be careful. Victory can be dangerous. It can make you arrogant, make you think you are invincible. You are not invincible, Riley. You are just girl who learned to stand. Do not forget that." "I won't," Riley promised. The days that followed were surreal. The administration finally took notice, launched an investigation into the fights. Riley was called to the principal's office along with Trent, Madison, and the others. Mr. Henderson, the principal, was a tired-looking man in his 50s who seemed overwhelmed by the whole situation. "Ms. Brennan," he said, shuffling papers on his desk, "multiple students have come forward describing instances of harassment and bullying directed at you over the past several months. Why didn't you report this?" Riley thought about all the times she'd tried to get help, the way adults had dismissed her concerns. "I did report it to Mr. Preston. To Mrs. Henderson in the library, to Coach Morrison. Nobody listened." Mr. Henderson winced. "I see. Well, regardless, the physical altercations are unacceptable. School policy is zero tolerance for violence. That means suspensions for everyone involved." "Everyone?" Riley asked. "Even though I was defending myself." "Even then, the policy doesn't distinguish. However," he added, seeing her expression, "given the circumstances, your suspension will be only 3 days. Trent and the others will face more significant consequences." It wasn't fair, But Riley had learned fairness was a myth. She took her 3-day suspension, spent it training with Vera and catching up on schoolwork. Her mother had been furious at first, then confused, then, finally, proud. "I should have noticed," Linda said, sitting on Riley's bed. "I should have seen what was happening. I was so caught up in work, in my own problems. Mom, it's okay, I handled it. You shouldn't have had to handle it alone." Linda brushed hair from Riley's face, the gesture achingly tender. "You're strong, baby. Stronger than I gave you credit for. But you don't always have to be strong. You can ask for help." "I did ask for help," Riley said softly. "Just not from the people you'd expect." When Riley returned to school the following Monday, the landscape had shifted entirely. Trent was gone. His father had pulled him out, enrolled him in a private school across town rather than face the shame of suspension. Madison was on 2-week suspension and rumored to be on thin ice with her friend group, her social status crumbling. Cody and Derek kept their distance, eyes averted when Riley passed in the halls. But more than that, the culture had changed. Students who'd been afraid to speak up were speaking up. The administration, embarrassed by their inaction, implemented new anti-bullying programs. Teachers were more vigilant, and Riley, unlikely as it seemed, had become a kind of folk hero to the outcasts and underdogs. Jason, Ashley, and a growing group of friends ate lunch with her now. Conversations were easier. Laughter